Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hello and welcome, film fans. My name is Luke and you are the Cheap Shot Nation, and this is Quick Shot Reviews, the dedicated movie channel for Cheap Shot Entertainment. And today I'm going to be talking to you about Elemental, the latest Disney Pixar film and the first Disney Pixar film I've seen for a very long time, directed by Peter's son and starring Leah, hold on a second, I did have this in my head, Leah Lewis as the main protagonist, alongside Mamadou Athie as Wade, as an unlikely couple who find their spark and realise that they are not so different, even though they are told not to be together and one cannot be with the other. Standard stuff then for a Disney film. However, this one's done slightly differently, and I really appreciate the use of science words and things like that. It's not your typical Disney princess movie, this one. So join me in the main part of the podcast and I will talk to you about Elemental. So, Elemental is a 2023 film directed by Peter Son and written by John Hoberg, Kat Lickle and Brenda Hewish. And it stars Leah Lewis, Mamadou Athie and Ronnie Del Carmen. And if you've not heard of those names before, neither have I, which makes this film even better because, you know, Disney Pixar can take their pick of people to do the voiceovers for their characters, but yet they choose relative unknowns. In a city where fire, water, land and air residents live together, we follow Ember and Wade as they journey through the city trying to solve the mystery of the burst pipes and ultimately save Ember's family business. So, yeah, it follows Wade, who is water, and Ember, who is fire. Like I say, use of sciencey words there and words to do with water and fire. Sadly, we don't explore the air and the land element, the earth element of the film. Maybe they're going to do a different one. I don't know. But I would have liked to have seen a bit more of that. There are little nods here and there, and a couple of really funny scenes as well. And apparently, the film is based on the director's life with his parents immigrating to the USA, opening a store in the Bronx in New York, of course, similar to that of the film. So it is, like I say, it is the latest Pixar film, and it's been a long time since I've seen a Disney Pixar film, because, you know, they were so good in the 90s. They were coming out every year and sometimes twice a year, and they were all absolute bangers. And then recently Disney have focused more on keeping their rights to certain things like the Little Mermaid and Aladdin and Lion King, and bringing out live action, inverted commas in the air, live action versions of classically loved animated movies. And Disney Pixar, though, they always shine. They always come good. And apart from the odd one like Toy Story, which has been done to death now, literally, they do come up with some really decent ideas. And one of the things I noticed about this classic Disney style, there was a pre-show, so to speak, with the characters from Up, which was really nice, and it made me think of how good Pixar used to be. So, is Elemental a flop? Is it trying to capture the greatness that Disney Pixar once had? Well, the answer is yes, but it bottles it really well in a bottle forged from the fires of an ember, and it does it fantastically, brilliantly well. I felt for the characters. I wanted them to succeed. I wanted them to. I mean, even though they, cartoon characters, I wanted them to be happy together, and that's exactly what you want in a film, isn't it, of this kind? Sadly, as it being a kids' film, there were kids in the movie theatre. Those darn kids watching the children's films, who were speaking really loud, and I blame the parents personally. But there you go, because the parents were speaking loud as well. That being said, so didn't spoil my enjoyment of this movie. I was pleasantly surprised. I booked it because it was on, and didn't have much hope for this one, much like Indiana Jones. But I really enjoyed Indiana Jones. I've got to say, I really enjoyed Elemental. Not as good as some of the previous films, because it did follow the same formula. Boy meets girl. Girl doesn't require the love interest of the boy. But this, and then eventually they get together and find out they do have a spark and they do go together. And that's the idea of the fire and the water element, because one can snuff the other out, but the other one can boil and evaporate the other one. So, and the ember bit is done really well in terms of using it to display a fiery temper, etc., etc. And the Wade character is done really well because, obviously he's made of water, so he's always crying because he's so happy, and it's really, it's funny, but it's there's a scene where Ember visits Wade's family, and it's really funny, and the little bits that they have to do to get her to the dining table and stuff like that. It's really cool. I do really feel though that this film was unceremoniously cut for some reason, because there's no real. I mean, there is a payoff, but it just sort of ends, and there's nothing else besides that, just the end. And there might have been post-credit scenes, but I very rarely stay for post-credit scenes, and you always know whether there's a post-credit scene because the lights stay off. So, do I recommend Elemental? Absolutely yes. Whether you've got kids, whether you haven't, you're just going for a date night or whatever, this will pull on your heartstrings. It will tickle your funny bone, and it will entertain both adults and children from start to finish. It's clever in its execution, and it's clever in the way it uses certain words and different elements to teach as well, which is, that's amazing. So, like I said, there was kids talking all the way through, but it's a plus for this film that when the children were talking, they were asking questions about the movie, and that means that they were paying attention, and that is good. So that element of the film, fantastic. It is a good film. I'd go and watch it, like I say, regardless of who you're taking with you. Go and enjoy yourself with this one. sit down with a big box of popcorn and just get your fill. So we've got Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 coming up next week. So join us for that podcast as well. And I think we do have something booked on the week after as well, which is Insidious The Red Door. I'm a big fan of the Insidious films, so hopefully this one will have the same effect. So that's it for this Cheap Shot Quick Shot review for Cheap Shot Entertainment. If you like the podcast, if you're on YouTube, you know what to do. Follow us on the podcasting channel as well on Spotify, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.